people, we're not leveling. We're not leveling with women about what their situation really is. We're not doing that. How can somebody help you if they are not allowed to be honest with you about exactly where you are? So the first thing that a female has to understand is that once you choose, because it's your choice, it's 100% on you, you can have sex with anybody you know full well when you're ovulating. You choose to get pregnant by a man you're not married to for whatever your shallow reasons are. You need to take responsibility for the fact that your life has changed and your value has changed. And it's not nice to hear, but it's just the truth. Your value has changed. You are not worth as much as a woman who is a blank slate upon which we can do whatever we want. You now have baggage and obstacles and problems. It's not a relationship anymore, it's a situationship. So first and foremost, you must come to grips with the reality of your new life. You are not a competitor with a woman without kids. You're not. You're competing with women in general, but you are no longer in the most desired category. That's the first thing that must come to grips with. You must. Now, once you come to grips with that reality that, wait a minute, these dudes are sleeping, everybody's sleeping with me, ain't nobody marrying me, my position has changed. I'm fighting with a handicap now. Now you can deal honestly with your life. So what does this mean? What this means is that you need to take a wholesale inventory of how screwed up you've been and maybe how screwed up you are, and say that there must be zero tolerance whatsoever for each and any and all of the bad habits that got me into this. I'm slick at the mouth. I don't care about myself. I'm overweight. I have no respect for my body. I have no respect for my mind. I have no respect for my life. Or even if I do, I don't have enough. I might have some, but I don't have enough. So what that means is get your big fat jelly roll ass in the gym so that your body is not an obstacle. Start learning how to read a book that doesn't have a wrapper on the front of it so that your lack of intelligence is not an obstacle. Start becoming civically aware so that your lack of intellect is not an obstacle. Have some kids who are polite so that the brood that you created with a guy who didn't want to stick around because we didn't want dudes to stick around. Now we stuck with this. We thought being a mom would be fun. Now we found out being a wife is where the real fun is. Being a mom is hell. Make sure your kids are well behaved so that they are not an obstacle. If you do those 4 things, and by the way, I didn't charge you $150 either to do that. If you get serious about doing those 4 things, that will give you the best opportunity to become a wife. And a wife ain't just a woman that's got a dude. I'm talking about a man who gets up every day and he is driven with or without you to provide the best life for you, because what we have are a bunch of overweight, Cinnabay looking, bloated, jelly bean built, hammerhead, Mrs. Potato Head looking females in white church outfits looking like if you push them over they would roll down the street, talking about, I'm married. Yeah, but you're married to the janitor of the damn high school that nobody wants to be with. So if you actually want a man that somebody would actually want to be with, and he actually contributes to your life as opposed to just being another ornament, like, you know, like the kids are just an ornament. If you want a man and not a mate, those things I just told you, that is what attracts a man. Now, the bad news is you carrying baggage from some other nigga, and that's an affront and an insult and an offense to a man who's actually worked his ass off for a decade or 2 to have something for himself and make his choices as he chooses. Now you're going to impose a situation on him. That's an offense bad enough. That's the bad news. The good news is so many of these females out here are screwed off today that the competition is not really as high as you might think. And you might be able to maneuver yourself into a position that you don't deserve. Let's just be totally honest with you. You don't deserve it. However, if you can increase your positives, if you can get your positives way up, then you just might find yourself in a position that even though you have not earned it, there you are. Now, that's being real. Now, here's the other side of it. If you are a single mother, and you notice I haven't asked you whether or not you are or aren't, and I don't even want you to tell me if you are. I'm speaking in general. To a woman who is a single mother, she has to understand that she has accepted a concubine status. When you allow men to lay on top of you and make kids without making you their wife, that is the definition of a concubine. We need to be straight up, and the women need to be straight up with each other. Hey, we've been some concubine hoes. And the problem with becoming a concubine is that you may wake up one day and that concubine status that you thought you were playing with is some real stuff now, and you can't get away from it. So the other side of the equation is that they got a TV show coming out. What's that? Side Chicks of Charlotte? There's a lot of females out here who are just going to have to accept that because of their nasty behavior when they were 20 and 25 and 28 and 30, that you may just need to get comfortable with side piece status because that was how you started, and you may just need to settle in for a side chick's life and teach your daughter how to not end up that way. Those are the two things that'll happen. If you can't maneuver yourself into a position you didn't earn, you need to try to make the best of where you are, because this is probably going to be your life. And that's the cold hard truth that a bunch of these people out here are not going to say, and they're not going to say it like me, but listen to me, there's simply not enough productive black men or white men or men in general to go around. There's just not enough of them. And the ones who are productive are not sitting up at night working 80 hours a week so that they can buy a Mercedes S-Class and turn it over to somebody else's baby mama. Nobody's doing that. All these females are out here trying to find a productive sucker, and that there's not enough men who are suckers. That's just the truth. It's just math. There's not enough of them. So if you're willing to accept that, you'll figure out where you fit in.
Okay, so let's say that these women are willing to accept this, and they're taking the steps to make their situation better because they have children, they need husbands in the house, and they are seeking knowledge to obtain wife skills, particular to the movement of the tone in the group that was presented today. If someone is telling you that they can skills required to maintain or seek a husband in the home for generational wealth, and these women are holding on to that idea that they can learn these things, whether they get a husband through this movement or not, they would be better prepared to maintain a man in the home, because, to be honest, everybody's not going to get someone who doesn't already have children, since 70% of black women are single baby mamas. Somebody's wife and somebody's
well, it's not 70%.
Or owning up somebody else's children.
It's not 70%. It's closer to 40, but that's too damn high as it is. First of all, I don't know if you're on an internet phone or whatever, but your phone keeps cutting in and out on you there. I don't know if that's an internet phone or if that's a cell phone, but your phone keeps cutting in and out on you.
It's a landline, brother. I don't know. Maybe the line is...
Okay, you must have service with Comcast or something, because the way it's cutting out, that's not a landline cutting out. That sounds more like a digital signal.
It's AT&T.
Yeah, so you have a internet phone is what you have. That's an internet phone. Like you got Uverse or something like... You have Uverse probably. So that's your internet. You need to get a technician to come out and play with that, because AT&T never fixes anything. I should know. But in any case... Look,
you're right.
The bottom line is, do you want to, once you put a strike, it's like having a felony in a state that does not expunge felonies, like California. Mm-hmm. If you go to state prison in California, they don't have expungements for that. You have to get a pardon. So If you are a woman who has made bad decisions, it's time to woman the hell up and accept that there's bad decisions. You might want a husband, but if you made decisions earlier in life that put you at the back of the line to get one, that fact isn't going to change. So the real question is, do everything that you can to put the odds in your favor. Men operate on a cost-benefit ratio analysis. That's what it's called. Cost-benefit ratio. We take a look at you and we see what your pluses are and we see what your minuses are. And if your pluses outweigh your minuses, you might have a shot. A kid to a man who does not have children, and to a lot of men who do, which is really crazy because these niggas are delusional. But anyway, a kid to a man who doesn't have children is a big minus because he's got his freedom. And what you're telling him is that if he's going to be a decent person because he wants to set a good example for his own children, why would he start by setting a bad one with yours? He's not really going to be cool on you two hanging out like that because he's thinking, okay, what example am I setting for this kid? Because I wouldn't want this environment on my child. So if he's a man who cares about that, that's going to be a problem. What the only thing that you can do is raise your positives to such a point that he's got to say, she's got a kid, but she brings all these other things, and you cannot be delusional about what the other things are. We got a bunch of females out here right now who think that because they don't have kids, that they're perfect and entitled to something. And that's a lie. They're not perfect and they're not entitled. They haven't made, just because they don't have a kid is a deal breaker for most men, but just because you don't have a kid does not mean you don't have some other deal breaker. An attitude is a deal breaker. So what you're going to have to focus on, and every other female in your situation is going to have to focus on being a total package. You got some extra baggage in your baggage, but you're going to have to focus on being a total package. It's just the truth. If a man cannot see your abs, you need to work on that. If you cannot educate him about Malcolm X's life, you need to work on that. If you do not know how to properly set up a table and be Miss Damn Me Manners, you need to work on that. Because it is too easy for a man to overlook you. It's too easy. When a woman goes off and has a bunch of kids by a bunch of different men, or any kids by any man she's not married to, and even if she is, she's stuck with the situation at this point, it's too easy for a man to get up and leave you. It's too hard for him to come in, and it's too easy for him to leave. And nobody wants to just be honest. They want to lie and say your chances are as good as everybody else's, even though the damn math in front of us clearly shows that's not the experience of single mothers. Once you go into single motherhood, you pretty much stay there. Now, you get laid on by a top bunch of people, but you don't ever leave it. So I'm just the first dude who's just coming out and saying all these other people telling y'all you just as good and Jesus make a way and got a wife and husband. You know, he does not. He does not have a husband for you. You might have an accident, but there's no husband. There is no man who's sitting up saying, boy, I wish I could get me a baby mama. You know why? Because if that's what they wanted, there's too damn many of them out here to get.
That's true.
So all the baby mamas that the men really want are already off the market. Nobody is sitting up and talking about, baby mamas, they so upstanding and they so hard to talk to. How the hell did she become a baby mama if she's hard to talk to? She became a baby mama specifically because she's not hard to talk to. If the heifer had been harder to talk to, she wouldn't be a baby mama. But nobody wants to level and just tell the... Nobody wants to level and tell the damn truth about where the hell you stand. That's why it's just like black men. I'm like, I don't want to hear black men complaining about white men until you get your paper together. No, I didn't say you have to like it. I didn't even say it's fair, but it is the situation. You are coming to the table with a tremendous handicap. White folk conquered the world 500 years ago. They conquered it. And you're living with the consequences of that conquest. Now, you can daydream and pretend God gonna make a way with the chosen people. Okay, meanwhile, you're getting gunned down by the police. accept the reality. You're playing with a handicap. You're going to have to increase your positives and deal with that. That's the world you're in.
I totally agree with you 100%, brother. My position is really about the children, because they need fathers in the home. And if we're going to build prosperous, sustainable communities, we have to have intact families, you know. And what do these women do when they haven't been taught wifely skills?
Okay, but here's the problem. The problem is it's not up to a man to fix a woman's screwed up life. Let us
start getting some pluses in.
They might start what?
Getting some pluses in, you know, adding some value to their situation.
Okay, no. The woman has to add pluses to her situation, not the man.
Yes, that's right. But what I'm saying is, if she's seeking help to get that,
that's the problem.
You know, why should she be wrong? If she chooses to pay for it, that's her position.
That's the problem. You say if she seeks to get some help for it, that's the man. Mm-hmm. That's Captain Save-A-Hoism. Because the problem is.
No, what I'm saying is,
the problem is that most single mothers don't want help.
Go ahead.
Most single mothers do not want help. They got into the situation that they're in because they don't want help. They want a bailout. Now, if you can find one who does not seek a bailout, that's one thing. But the problem with them is they usually wait until they're in their 40s or their 50s to stop looking for a bailout. But they're not in their 20s. There are no single mothers in their 20s saying, oh, wait a minute, I got my head on straight. Everybody wants to wait until their stretch marks look like the Santa Monica Freeway, and they want to wait until they got overhang, and they want to wait until the crow's feet are set in, and their asses are sagging like Santa Claus's bag. Now she's talking about, okay, now that I'm ragged the hell out and put out to pasture, now let's discuss me being a Stepford wife. Now that I've got no other options, and this is the other thing we're going to have to just sign up for here. Most of you females, if you've gotten over the age of 40, that's a wrap. It's done. You're going to be looking for a dude that doesn't want kids, and the ones who don't want kids don't want a wife either. That's the problem. He didn't get to be 40 or 50 years old with no kids because he wants a family. He's either already done it or he was never interested. And that will be what you are left with. Because if you're a 45-year-old female fooling around with a 30-year-old dude, what do you have in common with a 30-year-old other than sex? So he's going to sex you up and that's it. And one day you're going to call yourself trying to check him and say you need to get a job and you need to start producing, at which time he's going to say, look here, wench, I was doing this when you met me. How you gonna get mad now? I was doing this when you met me. Now you gonna try to jump your 48-year-old ass up all of a sudden and try to tell me what to do? Get the hell out of here.
Shame.
I'll go get another 40-year-old like you were. It's too easy to do that. So what I'm trying to impress upon you first and foremost is we need to work on prevention. Because once you get off, everybody wants to figure out, well, how can I be saved? Most of you will not be. And we need to figure out a way to get single mothers at peace with the fact that you screwed up permanently. And you will not be able to fix this. Now, can you get your mind off yourself and onto your daughter and your sons? Because you don't need a man to teach your children, don't do what I did. If you want a man around, it's because you want a man, but not because the children want one. Because a lot of women do that because they're trying to figure out, how can I finesse this dude in this house? How do I make this work? And yeah, it can work if you can find one of the few guys who's willing to take on another man's leftover family from day one. And yes, you do need a man. You do need one. Yeah, you need one. And guess what? People in the ICU need another day. There's a lot of things in life we need. But we live in a world where you can't always get what you want, like the song says, and a lot of the time you can't even get what you need.